I just love this new look. Welcome, it is time for What's the Noise Media. Exploring great cornerbacks, What's the Noise Media has a special one. Football has had many great cornerbacks, but in particular is worth discussing. Coach and father. Colorado's football coach.
After the initial explosion of 2023, the reality in Boulder turned cold. In 2025, Colorado's record plummeted to 3-9, leading a roster that ranked near the bottom of the league in both offensive and defensive impact. The media establishment, which had feasted on the program's rise, was quick to pivot. This chart shows a viewership collapse on ESPN, where the Buffaloes lost 2/3 of their television audience in just 2 seasons. For a black head coach in this position, the systemic pressure to conform is immense. The traditional expectation is a period of public contrition, a signal that the coach is willing to quiet down and submit to the corporate decorum of the university. Sanders, however, doubled down on his defiance. Facing the cameras in his signature shades, he told the press he'd rather be booed than applauded, arguing that if people clap for you too much, you can no longer establish trust. He can weather this scrutiny because he operates on 2 axes the media cannot touch. He uses the podium to disrupt the business of the sport, and the pulpit to sustain the spirit of his team. To critics, Sanders is a chaotic celebrity. To sociologists, he is a threat to a race-based caste system. In college football, this structure ensures that power and profit flow exclusively toward a specific class. Black athletes generate the vast majority of the revenue, yet those billions are managed almost entirely by predominant white legislators. Within the coaching ranks, racial tasking traps black professionals as elite recruiters, denying them the leadership authority required to run a program. Sanders countered this system by leaning into a semi-pro model. He stopped trying to build a traditional program and started running a professional operation. He treats college eligibility as a professional free agency market. By prioritizing the transfer portal over 4-year development, he creates a roster of veterans, bypassing traditional institutional loyalty. The results of this individual leverage are undeniable. Despite the team's record, Sanders produced the 2024 Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter, a player who bypassed the traditional hierarchy, becoming the most valuable individual brand in the country. This drastic shift creates intense institutional friction. The old guard of college football is watching their traditional leverage vanish as Sanders secures millions in private donations to fund a model that prioritizes athlete power over university tradition. Sanders weaponizes the media spotlight to bypass the gatekeepers of the old guard. His presence at the podium forces the industry to acknowledge that the rules of athlete compensation and mobility have changed forever. But the podium is only half the story. To survive the internal pressure of a 3-9 season, Sanders relies on the spiritual foundation of the pulpit. In the history of major state universities, it is a rare anomaly to see a black man assert unapologetic spiritual authority over his players and staff. This has brought immediate pushback. Legal groups have threatened the university over Sanders' coaching style, demanding a strict separation of church and state in his team meetings. Sanders ignores the threats, focusing instead on what he calls Nehemiah methodology. He uses these moments to teach resilience to young men who are often treated as mere commodities by the larger athletic machine. While the podium attracts the lightning of media criticism, the pulpit creates an internal shield. It builds a culture that stays intact even when the scoreboard suggests the experiment is failing. The 2026 season arrives as a final stress test for this dual strategy. Every loss is magnified by the media. Every win is treated as a temporary reprieve. Sanders uses the brash coach prime persona to draw all the external fire. He invites the headlines and the heat, keeping the pressure squarely on himself rather than his locker room. This protects the work happening inside. By the time his star players like Shedeur Sanders are NFL-bound, they have already been professionalized, both in their financial literacy and their spiritual grounding. He has already remapped the landscape of the sport. He has proven that a program can lose 2/3 of its audience and have a losing record, yet still secure millions in funding and produce a Heisman winner by breaking the corporate mold. Sanders has demonstrated that a Black leader can reject the traditional hierarchy without losing his power or his identity. He has built a model where the person at the top doesn't have to surrender his spirit to keep his seat at the table.
Please like and subscribe to What's the Noise Media for all sorts of news. We do talk more than just sports. Thank you.